Have you ever lain awake at 3 a.m., staring at the ceiling, and told yourself, I shouldn't bother my children, though my heart beats irregularly, though I know something's wrong? There are things we, older people, often keep to ourselves, not because we want to hide, but because we don't want anyone worried, don't want anyone troubled, especially our children. You tell your children that you sleep well, but you don't mention waking up at every night. You say mom is fine, but you hide needing medicine just to manage to sleep. I understand, because I was like that too. Afraid my children would think I'm weak. Afraid they would have to drive a long way just to check if mom was sleeping well. But you know what? There are secrets, if kept, that will cause your health to steadily decline. Sleep is not just rest. It's when the body recovers, heart and liver work quietly, and the mind is soothed after a long day. When you can't sleep, it's not just about one night. It's a warning from your entire immune system, your memory, your heart struggling every day. In this video, I will tell you about 7 things older people often hide from their children, especially related to sleep. It may sound small, but if you silently endure, the consequences will be very large. Not to blame, but to understand that sometimes sharing isn't a bother, but helps you be there longer for those you love. So let's get started. The first thing, I often hide my sleeplessness, afraid my children will worry. Some nights I only sleep 2 hours. So exhausted I couldn't even lift my morning teacup. But when my children call, I still smile, slept like a rock. Some nights I lie still in the darkness, hearing the clock tick on and on. My eyes are shut, but my mind keeps replaying old thoughts, stories from the body and worries about children, what tomorrow might bring. Each time I turn over, I tell myself, don't cough, don't make a sound, don't let the children know I'm not asleep. Because I'm afraid that the kids will worry. I know my children are busy. One worries about career, one still raises young children. I don't want myself to become an additional burden. So I smile when they ask, Mom, are you sleeping well? I say, sleeping well, of course, like a rock. But the truth is, some nights I lie awake until almost morning. Some nights I only doze for 2 hours, and in the morning I feel completely drained. We older people are used to keeping silent, especially when it comes to sleep. We think, I'm old, sleeping little is normal. But science has shown the opposite is true. After age 60, sleep is no longer a secondary issue. It is a vital factor impacting memory, the heart, blood sugar, and yes, even daily emotions. According to research from the National Sleep Foundation, nearly 70% of older adults hide from their children their insomnia or sleep disorders due to fear of being a bother, fear of children worrying, or fear of appearing weak in the eyes of relatives. But this silence itself prevents them from getting timely support, leading to exhaustion, falls, and even spells of confusion with no clear reason. I once witnessed my elderly neighbor, Mrs. Rose, fall down the stairs in the morning. Later, the doctor discovered she had suffered insomnia for nearly 3 months, always feeling tired and slightly dizzy. But she didn't tell her children, fearing they'd make her move in with them. After that incident, I learned to share, not complaining, just telling the truth. I called my child and said, Mom hasn't slept well for nights. Maybe you can help find a sleep-friendly music player. To my surprise, they weren't as worried as I had thought. They just gently asked, Mom, want us to call a doctor for help? Then brought over a nightlight with soft light. That night, I slept for 4 straight hours. Consider it a start. If you're awake every night without saying so, please believe sharing doesn't make your children worry more, but helps you get proper care. Let those you love have the chance to love you back in full measure, starting from sleep. The next thing is, I don't mention being tired after waking up completely exhausted, yet I still smile. I still greet my children with a familiar phrase each morning. Mom slept well, very healthy. Then I go make coffee myself, sweep a few leaves from the porch, acting normal. But honestly, some mornings I feel as if all my energy has been drained. Back aches, head heavy, legs tremble, as if last night's sleep wasn't enough to recover. But I don't tell. not due to hiding, but because old people get tired. Who would listen if I complained? We, those of us who have passed 60, often think morning fatigue is a matter of course. But the truth is, if you wake up and do not feel well, that is an important sign. You have not slept deeply, or your sleep is being disturbed. And when this repeats, the body is not just tired, but also prone to memory loss, falls, and losing positive daily emotions. A study by Harvard Medical School found over 50% of elderly individuals report feeling tired in the morning, yet do not share this with their relatives, leading to the delayed diagnosis of conditions such as sleep apnea, mild exhaustion, or even hormonal imbalances. This condition, if prolonged, can cause weight loss, loss of balance, and a decline in immune function. I once met Mrs. Linda during a wellness exercise class. She'd often stand hands on hips, sighing, "All night my sleep was fitful. Come morning I don't want to do anything." But upon returning home, she again wouldn't tell her child the reason. "My child is busy. I don't want to bother them further." Only when she fainted lightly in the kitchen from low blood sugar, after an almost sleepless night, did doctors discover she had mild sleep apnea symptoms. With just a small assistive device and some adjustments to her sleeping posture, she began waking up healthier, more alert every morning. And more importantly, she began to speak out much more. I did too. I have learned to say, "Mom feels tired after sleeping last night." Not complaining, just so my child knows. And from then on, I got a neck support pillow, an earlier bedtime, and a small habit, opening the window early morning to breathe fresh air before starting the new day. If you wake up feeling tired, feeling lethargic, don't just think it's a normal part of aging. That is your body crying for help in silence. Share that not to complain, but to get support. Support to be cared for at the right time before weariness becomes chronic. Because each morning should be a fresh start, not a constant struggle. The third thing I keep to myself is I hide frequently waking up at night. I wake up at 3 a.m., but nobody knows. The room is quiet, outside it's pitch dark, and I'm wide awake, staring at the ceiling. Not because of a nightmare, nor due to any noise. It's just I often wake up like this in the middle of the night, for many years now. Some nights I wake once, some nights up to 3 times. Each time I wake, I look at the clock, turn over, try to close my eyes again. But sleep just drifts further away. I don't tell anyone, because I find it trivial. I'm old, fitful, sleep is normal, I tell myself. I'm afraid if I tell, my children and grandchildren will worry. Then they'll make me see a doctor, take medicine, use some sleep machine. And I don't want to be a bother. But some trivial things, if hidden too long, become dangerous. Many people think that just getting enough hours of sleep is fine. But the truth is, fragmented sleep, even if totaling 6-7 hours, doesn't bring true recovery to the body and brain. Especially for older adults, frequent nighttime awakenings are often the first sign of many disorders. Hormonal imbalances, cardiovascular problems, or even early signs of dementia. According to research from Mayo Clinic, waking up more than 3 times per night in older adults is closely linked to a risk of cognitive decline and reduced overall quality of life. However, most older adults don't report it to their doctor or a family, thinking it's not worth mentioning. I remember Mr. Bill, my yoga classmate, once said he often woke at 2 a.m., then lay awake till morning, unable to sleep again. "I don't tell my daughter, she worries a lot," he said. But when advised to use a sleep diary to track, then get checked, he found he had signs of a circadian rhythm disorder. Just by changing light exposure times and adjusting dinner, he could sleep through the night again. I also started noting each time I woke up during the night. After a week, I realized I was waking more frequently than I thought. I showed the notebook to my doctor and was guided through small steps, like limiting evening fluids, turning off screens early, and even readjusting my pillow for easier breathing. The result: uninterrupted nights of sleep started returning. If you are silently waking up every night, don't consider it trivial. Your body is whispering a warning about something. Speak up. Write it down. Let someone help you reconnect with a full night's sleep. Because in the quiet of the night, one should only lie there and dream, not toss and turn and hide one's fatigue. Next is the fourth thing. I lie that I still get enough sleep. I say I sleep enough, just to reassure everyone. Every morning my child asks, "Mom, did you sleep well?" And I always reply, "Slept well, slept right through." Then I smile and change the subject. No one knows how many times I tossed and turned last night, got up for water, or lay awake until near morning because my heart pounded. My mind wouldn't rest. I don't want my child to worry. I'm afraid of being forced to see a doctor, afraid of being prescribed medication. And honestly, I'm also afraid if I speak out, then I'll be seen as weakening. We older adults often hide seemingly small things. We fear being pitied, fear becoming a burden. But sleep is no small matter. Sleep is the foundation for everything else. Memory, clarity, immunity, even emotions. And if we keep lying about it, we ourselves are the first ones to suffer. According to statistics from the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, nearly one-third of older adults admit to saying otherwise about their sleep quality when asked, even to doctors or relatives. They don't want to be seen as troublesome or frail, but this very thing prevents sleep disorders from being detected early, leading to physical weakness, falls, and an increased risk of dementia. I still remember Mrs. Margaret, who lived in my neighborhood. Her child discovered she often dozed off during the day. Her child asked, she still smiled, "Mom slept enough at night, probably just a bit sleepy midday because I'm old." After a few times, her grandchild decided to install a tracking camera. It turned out she only slept just over 3 hours each night in segments, not because she didn't want to, but because she was embarrassed. When the story came out, her child didn't scold. They just quietly took her for a checkup, and from then on she had a specific regimen, using blue light in the morning, limiting caffeine, and gradually adjusting her biological clock. Now she often jokes, "I'm really sleeping now, no need to lie anymore." I learned from her that being honest about sleep is the best way to protect myself, because saying I slept well doesn't make you healthy. Truly sleeping well is what lets you live each day fully. If you are saying otherwise whenever your children or grandchildren ask about your sleep, please give yourself a chance to be cared for properly. Because true peace of mind isn't in an answer, but in a body that is truly rested. And another thing that I've never told anyone, I don't tell them I often have nightmares. I still wake up late at night, heart pounding from a bad dream. Not every night, but when I dream, they are often unpleasant ones. I see myself being chased, lost, or returning to old rooms, places with unhappy memories. Sometimes I see deceased people standing there looking at me. When I wake up, I sit and breathe for a long while, my whole body drenched in sweat. But in the morning when my child calls to check in, I just smile. "Mom slept fine." Because honestly, I don't know how to say it right. Also, I'm embarrassed. Dreams, everyone dreams. But why do I have nightmares so often? And why do they keep returning night after night? Many older adults choose silence when experiencing nightmares, considering them private, not worth sharing. But sleep experts say recurring negative dreams are a clear indicator of sleep disturbance, underlying anxiety, or even early signs of cognitive decline. According to the American Academy of Sleep Medicine, nearly 45% of people over 65 experience recurring nightmares, but don't report them to relatives or doctors. They think it's just getting old, mind wandering. But this very complacency makes them prone to chronic insomnia, mild depression, and even memory loss after a long time. I remember Mr. John, my longtime chess partner, once confessed after a loss, "Last night I dreamt I was falling from a long staircase." He said it wasn't the first time, but being embarrassed that he never told his children or grandchildren. Much later, when advised to keep a sleep and dream diary, he realized the frequency and content had a clear pattern, linked to his daytime emotions. Thanks to that, he started light psychological therapy, combined with pre-sleep relaxation. And those dreams became less frequent. I also tried writing down my dreams after waking. Not for deep analysis, just to let my mind release instead of holding on. I told my daughter about a few dreams. She didn't laugh. She just asked, "Mom, do you want me to schedule an appointment with a sleep specialist?" And I nodded. If you too are waking up at night because of heart-wrenching dreams, please don't keep them locked in somewhere, even just once. Maybe that's the first step to sleeping more deeply and waking up without feeling as heavy as if you just walked out of a storm. Because dreams, when understood, can stop being so frightening. The sixth thing is, I avoid saying I need medication to sleep. No one knows. I have to rely on medicine to fall asleep. Every night after turning off the lights and pulling up the covers, I open the small drawer beside of my bed. Inside, there's a tiny bottle of pills, something that has been with me for nearly a year. Not much, just half a pill. But without it, I know tonight will be very long. Yet the next morning, when my child calls to ask, "Did mom sleep well last night?" I still reply, "Well, didn't need anything." Because I don't want my children to know I'm dependent. I'm afraid of being worried about, forbidden, seen as weak. I even fear myself, realizing that the once natural sleep of my past now has to be exchanged for medicine. We older adults often hesitate to talk about using sleeping pills, as if it's a sign we're no longer normal. But the truth is, silently depending on sleeping pills, especially without a doctor's supervision, is one of the leading causes of memory disorders, nighttime falls, and lingering depression. According to research from the University of California, San Diego, over 40% of people over 65 use sleeping pills regularly without telling their children or doctors due to fear of judgment or having the medication cut off. But this secrecy itself is dangerous because dosages aren't adjusted, side effects aren't monitored, and sleep becomes a risky trade-off. I once saw Mr. Walter, a friend from physical therapy class, fall in the middle of the night on his way to the bathroom. Later, it was revealed he had secretly taken an extra half a sleeping pill because he felt it wasn't strong enough. The result was dizziness, and he couldn't react quickly enough when getting out of bed. From that incident, I started learning to tell the truth. I don't hide it anymore. I told my daughter, "Mom is taking sleeping pills, but I don't want to depend on them forever." She didn't scold, didn't blame. She just scheduled me an appointment with a sleep specialist. And together we rebuilt natural sleep habits with morning light, evening relaxation, and gradually tapering off medication under guidance. Now I still sleep, not thanks to medicine, but thanks to the support of loved ones and honesty with myself. If you are silently relying on sleeping pills every night, please don't be ashamed. Consider it a reminder that your body needs help, and that help will come sooner if you're willing to speak up. And the last thing is, I say no one needs to call in the morning. Mom doesn't need a call, but actually, I still wait for that ring. I still habitually tell my children, "Mom is used to waking up early, no need to call." I say that to reassure them, so no one has to wake up early because of me. But every morning I listen intently, hoping for a ring, even if it's just to hear someone's voice ask, "Did mom sleep well last night?" Some mornings the house is strangely quiet. I open my eyes, see light through the curtains, but no one calls, no one asks. And suddenly my heart also feels a little colder. Older people often talk tough, say they can manage on their own, but what's really behind that "no need to call"? It's a small fear so một ngày mình không dậy được, không chẳng ai biết. So những ngày dài, bắt đầu mà không có ai ngoài chính mình to share the first words of the day with. For many older adults, especially those living alone, a morning call isn't just a status check. It's a mental anchor, a connecting heartbeat between them and life. Lacking it, feelings of isolation easily creep into the heart, making night sleep heavier and morning alertness more fragile. Theo Cao sat to AARP, Hiệp hội Người hưu trí Hoa Kỳ. Hơn ba người cao tuổi sống một mình từng trải qua cảm giác trống rỗng mỗi sáng, đặc biệt nếu không có ai chủ động gọi điện hay nhắn tin. Điều này góp phần tăng nguy cơ trầm cảm nhẹ, giảm chất lượng giấc ngủ và cảm giác không cần thiết nữa. I remember Mrs. Ellen at the end of my street once told her son, "Mom is fine, I don't need you to call every morning." Nhưng sau một lần bà ngắt khi vừa bước khỏi giường, Con trai bà đã quyết định lặng lẽ gọi mẹ đều đặn mỗi ngày. Chỉ vài câu thôi. Good morning, Mom. Did you sleep well? Vậy mà từ đó, bà thấy an tâm hơn và không còn nói câu không cần gọi nữa. I also learned to open up. I no longer say mom's fine just to dismiss it. I started saying, if you can call in the morning, mom would be very happy. And I find myself less lonely, sleeping better, waking up with the feeling of having someone check in. If you've ever said no one needs to call in the morning, please try saying something different for once. Not because you're weak, but because you deserve to be cared for. Each small ring could be the most precious medicine for a peaceful day to begin. Now you understand, don't you? Silence isn't always love. We often think not speaking is to put our children's minds at ease. But sometimes that very silence actually pushes us further from our children. Distant not in physical space, but because we no longer know how truly tired the other is. You might have hidden your sleeplessness, hidden the dreams that wake you in the middle of the night, or hidden that this morning you woke up, feeling everything was hazy and empty. But at some point you'll realize sharing doesn't make you weaker. On the contrary, it gives you support, a caring text, an evening phone call, a hug, right when you need it. And your children, however busy, however grown, still always need to know that you're not just someone who's always fine every day, but a person still trying to live fully through each night, each sleep. If you see yourself in what I've shared today, please talk to someone. Maybe your child, maybe your doctor, maybe yourself in the mirror. And if this video resonated with you, feel free to share it. Because who knows, somewhere out there, there's a father, a mother, also lying awake every night just because they don't want anyone to worry. Thank you for listening. Wishing you a truly peaceful night and a truly sound sleep.